My family has been somehow working in Greenland for 4 generations. My great-grandfather, Blodgett-Hall, was actually a Navy officer, and he was charged with making maps of southern Greenland, southwestern Greenland. But at the same time, he was very interested in also working with the Norse. So while he was going around mapping the southwest Greenland fjords down here, he was making lots of investigations of the Norse and somehow making nice maps on the various small buildings that he found on his way. But in 1884, he was charged to go to the east coast of Greenland, and he was charged to go to a settlement up here, the Ammassalik area, in order to somehow see and find some people living up there. It was said that there was a little group of people living there. That was people who were someone coming around the southwest coast here of Greenland. So I went up there with a little expedition, and came as the first European into Ammassalik, or the city that's called Tasiilaq today. And he was living up there during the winter time and somehow really got involved in the people living there and made very nice collections, which are today actually found in the Nuuk Museum up here, ethnographical items. That's quite important. Then I have my grandfather, Naja Mikkelsen. My grandfather didn't want to go to school, so when he was 13 years old, he was out sailing, and he came into the Indian Ocean, came into Calcutta, where a fortune teller told him that he would get into something which was white, an area that was white. He couldn't understand what it was, but my grandfather took it as something, well, I'm going into an area that is white. And as a matter of fact, that was what happened. He went into the Beaufort Sea from Point Barrow up here in order to look for land up here. And later on, he came also wanted to go to the North Pole with the Swedish explorer André. André wanted to go into the polar basin with a balloon. And my grandfather said he wanted to go too, but André found he was a little bit too young. And that was lucky that my grandfather wasn't with that expedition, because otherwise I wouldn't have been standing here today, because the expedition of course perished, and André was found 30 years later and was taken back to Sweden. My grandfather wanted to go to Greenland, so in year 1900 he came on an expedition that was going with a boat all the way from Scoresbysund down to Tasiilaq in a rowing boat. They were 4 people, and that was quite a challenge to do that one. But they managed, and they met this very difficult area, which is just basalt today, and not very easy to get to. And then in year 1909, he was charged with the challenge to go up and find the bodies and the diaries of 3 people who perished during the Denmark expedition. The Denmark expedition was a very nice expedition. It was sent out in 1906, and it had to start here at Danmarkshavn. They started here, and then they had to go up along the coast and go up here to Independence Fjord to see whether there was a channel going through Greenland here and somehow making this an island, the area today called the Peary Land. And Peary had been standing here on the ice up here at the bottom of the Independence Fjord and said, well, I can see that there is a channel going through here, so this is probably an island. And the Danes didn't really like that, because if that was true, the Americans could claim this as an American area. So the Denmark expedition was charged with 2 things: to go up here from Danmarkshavn, sledge up here and see whether that channel existed. And the other thing was to go out and map this last part of northeast Greenland, because Robert Peary had been up here. He was somehow searching for the North Pole, and he thought that he might be going on the coast of Greenland all the way to the North Pole. But then it turned out, when he started somehow sledging along the coast, that it started turning south. And then you could see, no way I can get to the North Pole here. So he turned around here at Cape Bridgman and went back again. I'm very lucky that I have known my grandfather very well, because he was sitting here on the east coast of Greenland when he went up to look for those 3 who perished during the Denmark expedition. And when he was sledging from down here all the way up across the inland ice, coming up here to the bottom of the Denmark fjord and then coming down, and he came down and found a cairn where the Julius Eriksen, the leader of that Denmark expedition, had left a message saying that the Peary Channel didn't exist. And that was quite important, because Julius Eriksen didn't get back to the ship. He died on his way back. But Naja Mikkelsen found that document and could bring it with him back. But it took a while before he could actually deliver it in Copenhagen, because he was sitting up here on the east coast of Greenland together with the person he's doing all this sledge trip with for 3 years. Nobody knew where they were, if they were alive or anything. So when they were rescued, that was quite a sensation. And I have known my grandfather very well, and I've been listening to him telling stories about sitting up there in the hut. And now this last summer in 2012, I was very privileged to go up to the hut where he had been sitting for 3 years. The hut is still standing on the coast. Of course, it's a little bit miserable, but still it's there. So to be there and feel that there he'd been sitting for 3 years, those 2 men, that was really where you could feel history coming close to you, and especially family history.